What I want to talk about today are some things that can absolutely kill your business. Running a company with north of 40 employees, we've learned a lot. I've learned a lot personally as far as how to work with prospects and clients, but more so people at my company. And learning what we do just as a company, but really from others that have companies much larger than I have, what they do and the mistakes they avoided in order to just propel their business to the next level. That's what I'm interested in. I'm like, okay, how are you doing that? How are you growing so fast? So what we're going to touch on today are some things to do in business if you have a company and you've got employees and partners, or if you're on your own. You're in sales, but you operate everything as if you're running a business. You hold it very professional, you run it very professionally, and you hold it very close to yourself. It's serious business. So what not to do? Don't do this, but instead do this. Number one, negativity and complaining. This will kill anyone's business, can kill your personal life as well. We want to stay away from this, but it is so common today. Turn on the news right now, and if you see 5 stories, tell me how many of those would be positive compared to negative. All 5 are going to be negative. Maybe 4 will be negative, and you'll have 1 quick positive story. But we're surrounded by negativity, we're surrounded by complaints, and then naturally we start to do the same thing because it's around us all day long. Perhaps the people that are very close to us do it. It's contagious. But from a business perspective and a personal perspective, it'll absolutely kill you internally. It's not worth it. We see it happen all the time. So as a company, if we have negativity internally, what usually happens? Wastes everyone's time. You got to stop what you're doing, put out the fire, talk to the people that have issues with each other. If you really care about the people you work with, you're not focused on your job because you're focused on that problem, thinking, oh, why does this person have such a problem with me? I got to stop what I'm doing, go talk to them. I don't even know what the issue is. For me, that's typically what I go through because I hate negativity and problems. Complaints absolutely drive me crazy. They distract me from focusing on the business, moving things forward. Instead, have a laser focus on the consumer. Never complain about clients. Never ever complain about competition or things that you see them do or think that they do. Nothing good comes from it. Think of it this way. Have you ever done business with Amazon? Yes, everyone has. If you want to buy a product from them, how quickly do you get it? Right away. Same day service if you live in a city, same day delivery, I should say. If I asked you, hey, 20 years ago, could you imagine there'd be a time online where you could order something and the same day shows up on your doorstep? Yeah, right. Well, they're doing it, and a couple other companies are as well. They have a laser focus on the consumer because that's what drives business forward. They don't complain about their clients or customers that complain about Amazon getting there a day late, anything like that. They view it, here's the problem, how can we resolve it? Here's the problem, how can we fix it? Not, oh, this person just complains all the time. This client, I've had it with them. No, you cannot do that. They did business with you. Make sure you always provide the service to them. Quick story here. Recently, one of our agents at the company, one of our top agents, let me know a potential client, prospect had reached out saying, hey, I remember going through different policy options, and I remember Steve saying that we could do a partial 1035 exchange, which is a 1035 exchange is a tax-free transfer from one policy, the cash value, to another. And I knew I didn't say that because you cannot do a partial 1035 exchange. But what do I do? How do I react in that situation? Do I get negative? Do I complain to my agent, to the client, to myself? Think, I didn't say that. Come on, I wouldn't say that. That's the typical reaction there. However, I want to think from the client's perspective. So immediately what I said is, no worries. I know I didn't say it, but no worries because we do say a lot to our clients. We're going through all these ins and outs of cash value life insurance. They have questions. Maybe he thought I said it. Maybe I spoke really fast and maybe I mumbled it together. Who knows? The point is how I reacted to the situation was I would just let him know exactly what we can do with the policy. Let him know, hey, sorry for the miscommunication on my end, or I can reach out and let him know that as well, just to provide transparency around that. But what I want to do is take responsibility here. So our second point, don't do this. Don't not take responsibility. This happens way too much. I'm going to go through an example here, but instead, learn from mistakes. So if you're in business or sales, if you're experienced, think back to your early years. And if you're new, you've probably gone through this. Have you ever had customers, clients, where you go through your sales presentation and they don't work with you? They don't move forward, or maybe even worse, you find out 6 to 12 months later, they went with your arch nemesis from a competitive standpoint. How do you often react to that? Do you feel emotionally involved? Like, how could they do that? Or why are they working with that guy? I know he ripped them off. Do we complain about that client? Do we make excuses that that client's just crazy? They got something wrong with them. Oh, they're just a headache all the time. They're a hassle. I'm going to fire them. Do we get negative, going back to the first point, complain about them and not take responsibility that we didn't get that business because of us? We made the mistake, whatever it was during that process. Maybe they just didn't like you. Who knows what it is that happens? Learn from your mistakes. I'll give you an example here. A couple of years back, more than a couple of years back, I had a presentation out in the Midwest, big company. A lot of people know who this company is nationwide. I've got the opportunity to talk to them about a executive benefit plan, cash value life insurance for their corporation on their executives. I go out there and I just bomb the deal. Didn't do my normal process, completely messed it up. Now, the main owner, the CEO of that company, I talked to him on the phone before coming, and I got the sense that he didn't like me very much. He was really leaning toward a competitor, but one of the other executives said, hey, we like Steve's options. We want to give him a shot, have him come out. So I had that sense, and in the meeting, the CEO is just being confrontational toward everything I'm bringing up. So, point here is what? Not taking responsibility. I don't get the deal. I lost it. I blew it. I'm going to be completely critical on myself because it's the truth. I blew it. But do I make an excuse saying, that guy just didn't like me. He's fighting me from the get-go. He had his mind up before I even went into the call as far as what option he was going to go with. Have you ever done that? Have you ever seen other people do it? I've done it in the past when I was immature. It happens, it creeps in our mind all the time. But that does not help you move forward. It is a business killer. Don't use that as an excuse. Take responsibility and learn from your mistakes. Meaning, as I look back and reflect on that deal that I lost, that I blew, what did I do wrong? Well, was I more confrontational? Was I just going through bullet points, talking about things they didn't care about? I should have listened to him, asked questions, shown him solutions, the same thing we do with everyone else. Make it very transparent and make it convenient for him. But I didn't back then. So learn from the mistakes, and then the next time that deal comes along with someone else, which it did, deals that are much larger than that, they went through successfully. So this is going to lead to my last point here. This can be challenging, not investing in yourself. And a lot of times, like when I first heard, hey, you should invest everything back into yourself. When I heard that, when I was new in the industry, new in business, I'm like, I don't even know what that means. I didn't. I had no clue what investing in yourself meant. And the first thing I thought was, what, I got to invest money in myself? I don't have any money. I'm trying to get going. So I'm going to invest it in the bills that I have. But not investing in yourself, money from personal development, events, mentors, coaches. Yes, if you have the means and as you build up, I would highly, highly recommend that. I've spent more money on personal development and business coaching than anything else when it comes to our business. Like that's how we learn and save time to learning from others' mistakes and really copying the people that haven't figured out already from a business perspective. But if you don't have the money, here's the key. Not investing in yourself from a time standpoint. Develop and improve your skills Anyone can do this, and I am just so surprised at how many people do not do it. So I've shared in some videos before, and if you've ever talked to me, you know this as well, you might know it if I've ever brought it up, is from a communication standpoint, I struggle. When I was first in the industry, I would sweat when I made phone calls. I could feel my chest pounding. I would stutter on the phone. When I was in college, there's a time I'm giving a presentation, 5 or 10 minutes into it, I freeze, bomb out, just sit down, extremely embarrassing. When I was new in my career, I remember my manager asked me to go through a sales pitch or a role play for prospecting in front of the boss of the entire firm with offices all over the place, and I just freeze. I'm into it, and then I freeze. I don't know what to say. Like, I struggled with it. So it was something when it came to communication, as far as speaking to others, when I want to explain to someone how cash value life insurance works, how the idea of the banking concept works, whatever it might be, I would say, well, in my head, here's what it is. Okay, that's what I got to say to someone. And then, just kind of work out, which is what happens with so many people. I did not invest the time into practicing it. What that means is I did not rehearse it out loud. Now I've got a thing where I rehearse everything out loud, role play with others, role play with myself. If I'm having an off day when I'm on the phone with someone and they're asking me questions, sometimes I'll mute it, take a deep breath like that, and then slow down, regain my composure, and continue the conversation, because it must be communicated, that message, clearly. For example, I'll give you an example here, developing an improving skill. Everyone always asks, what's the infinite banking concept and how does it relate to whole life insurance? Or they're doing research on the idea of the banking concept, or everyone used to ask. We don't get that question as much as we used to. But that's something I had to rehearse so many times. So, for example, if someone is doing research on the banking concept, what I would say is, from your research thus far, do you have any questions on the banking concept or cash value life insurance? Ask the question first before just going into the idea of the banking concept. And often what they'll ask is, hey, can I have a quick overview of the concept? I understand it. I did my research, but if you were to sum it up in 30 seconds, what would it be? Sure. So really the idea of the infinite banking concept teaches one how to use a whole life insurance policy as a financing tool. A great way to illustrate this is with real estate. So, Mr. Client or Mr. Prospect, do you own real estate or have you invested in it before? Sure. Okay, great. Let's pretend that your property appreciates at 5% every single year like clockwork, no matter what happens in the market. If you own that home free and clear, you receive that 5% appreciation. If you take a mortgage out against it, do you continue to receive that 5% appreciation on the entire property value or only the remaining equity? The entire property value. That's why I like my real estate. Yes. So how this ties to the idea of the banking concept and specifically cash value life insurance, where my money's always compounding for me, is that once a dollar passes through the cash value of a life insurance policy, and it's your money, you see it there, it compounds forever if you let it sit and grow and earn, call it, between 3 and 5%, or if you pull it out. If you borrow against it, you continue to earn that 3 to 5% as if you never touched it in the first place. Does that make sense? Any questions on that? I can't tell you how many times I've rehearsed that, but people want a quick overview. Typically, I'll engage a little bit more. When I say engage, ask questions. Does that make sense? Any questions on that? I want to understand that they understand it as well as I do, or they get it, and then progress on to their other questions. But you've got to develop, this takes time, and improve skill. And the only way to do this is to take the time and practice. That's it. Practice. And don't practice on clients or prospects. First, practice on your own. If you're meeting with a high volume, high number of people, that's great practice. You know, when I met with people before I had employees, I don't know how many thousands of calls and meetings I did. It was nonstop. But that's it. And that's where that repetition, when you constantly repeat yourself, you'll not only know it, because you know it once you research it and read it so many times, but when you've rehearsed it, when you've talked about it, when you've answered questions in different ways because you're talking to a different audience. Like that is the valuable skill set that's developed. It don't come natural to everyone. It don't come natural to me. I feel like some people have it, but most don't. And those that you think have it, they'll tell you the exact same thing. They have told me that at least. So improving skill, do this. Don't neglect investing in yourself. So to sum this up, I know this was a ton here, and I know I'm going fast because I love this stuff. Don't be negative or complain about people you work with, your clients, your competition. Do not do that. We don't want to be an old grouchy guy that complains about everyone. No one wants to do business with an old grouch. Instead, do this. Focus on your consumer. Focus on your consumer. Don't avoid taking responsibility, making excuses, shifting the blame on something else that we think it may have been. What happened? Learn from the mistake and improve upon that. Learn from mistakes. Number 3, invest in yourself. So don't neglect putting time into personal development, repetition. Take the time, develop, and improve skills. So I hope you got some value out of this. These are things I've learned over time to really avoid killing the business. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button, subscribe for more, and we'll talk to you soon. Hope this helps. Hey guys, Steve Parisi here. If you enjoyed the content you just saw, please subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell for future videos. If you'd like more information or to see some custom policies for yourself, feel free to call or email our offices at the contact information below.